Now we are go. Welcome everybody, SUSE QA Tools workshop today. Happy International Coffee Day today it is, I learned. But I don't have a topic prepared for that. I have something else for you, which I hope is very interesting. I will share my screen. You see the usual wiki page of our team. Can you confirm that you see this shared screen for me?
Yes, I can see it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool, thank you. So it's the first Friday of a month, and as usual, what we do there is to present the current status of our roadmap of the SUSE QA tools. And for that, I would like to go over the tasks that we have resolved in the past months, what is our current plan, and what is our long-term outlook. And all this based on tickets. So if you're interested and want to look it up later, then all of that is available. There is section on our wiki, how we work. This is the complete backlog of the team. There's a high-level view, which is a part of that, and there's a top-level view, which only shows the very top-level things. And then there are also links to what the members of the team are working on, as well as what has been closed within the last 60 days. Let me start with that and show you what we have been working on in the last 30 days and also demonstrate a little bit.
Sorry, Oli.
Yep.
I don't know. Am I the only one who just see white page and nothing?
Actually, same here. I saw it. And
okay, and it's gone again. Okay, so you know what I will do? I will stop sharing my camera and I will reshare the screen. And let's see how that works. And so tell me if you see an issue list now.
Now I see gray page.
Yeah, I do too.
So it turned from white to gray. That's interesting.
Interestingly, for me, it works just fine.
I see the 5 categories here.
Yeah.
I see text.
Gray
About 50 shades of gray.
Okay. So it works for some and not for others. What I can do is I can, I will stop sharing the screen again. Do you see me on webcam? Hi.
Yep.
Yep.
No, I don't see.
I see just the overview. A lot of people. Yeah. And actually, I don't see you, Oli.
I'll try to reconnect.
Yeah.
Me too. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
I see Oli, so please hand to Marita, reconnect to see network.
If in doubt, I mean, I will have a recording, so you will be able to follow that later. So can now a handful of you see the ticket list?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So cool. Right. So it's a good start. Now, so what this is showing is the tickets that we had on our backlog that were closed within the last 30 days. So this is the period more or less since the last meeting I presented the state at the beginning of September. What we can see is that we have more or less as usual, just counting the number of tickets. We have a usual rate. They're slightly bit higher, so we managed to clean up some things in the past, which is good. And what we also see is that we had more or less the same ratio of categories in before. There are a lot of tasks in our related tools ecosystem around OpenQA and other QA tools, as well as infrastructure work. Quite some bugs that we worked on. There had been some organizational tasks, something like increasing test coverage or something like this. 1 support task and 18 feature requests. So let me start with feature requests today. Now, what we had been looking into is asset cleanup. So what we have observed is that the asset cleanup can sometimes, for example, on our SUSE internal instance, OpenQA SUSE, can take quite long to walk over complete directory tree until it actually starts cleaning up. And we also have a lot of small files, so it can take a very long time. It can even take such a long time that we're running into the risk of running out of disk space. So we had looked into that. We have optimized the lookup on the path, so we haven't changed the general approach. We have optimized it so that it's about, well, sometimes 2 to 3 times faster, which is good, and it helps a lot over the next months. But we have also identified some other areas which we want to follow up in the next time, but more about this than in the plan. We have increased the what we can do about monitoring. So this is something which I would like to show to you. So we have the salt states which we share on GitHub. Everyone maintaining an Opengl instance, a bigger Opengl instance, can use that data. What we have for the internal SUSE instance, we have this overview, and down there we have these nice shiny colorful graphs showing what is the ratio of tests by result, what is the ratio of multi-machine tests by result over time, and now what we also have lately, so not that pretty yet, so we will connect the lines. Oh, how did this work? Last 24 hours. Anyway, so we see a single data point and we see the numbers here. Maybe just the numbers are important. The ratio of failed tests by worker host. Yeah? So if we suspect a certain worker host to be problematic, then we can identify it based on that. What else? And really important feature, which I would like also to demonstrate, is to filter the test results by regex match in modules. I have already shown that in a previous workshop session, but because I like it that much, I would like to present it again to make sure that more people are aware of that. So if you follow a test overview link, I'm now following a prepared link here, but this is also accessible over UI filter elements. What we can do is we can filter by this field, which we now call module code. So looking into the test code of test modules and saying that I want to see all the test modules that fail where I'm a maintainer and don't yet have a review. And I'm doing that here for Tumbleweed. And we see that there are no modules showing up. So I, as a maintainer, I don't need to do anything. Let's change that. For example, I tried that example with Nick Singer, failing modules, and then we see that there's also no module that needs review. If I unclick that to see, are there any failing modules? Yes, there are. So there is this NMWPA2 enterprise module where Nick Singer is the maintainer, and it has a bug linked. So yeah, that shows up. Phoenix?
Is the syntax explained what I can use in module code? Is this simple glob or is this regex?
It's a grep command. So what you can do is anything that you can also feed to git grep regex.
Ah, yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. So what I do here is maintainer.star in Singer because I know that this is in the email address. But yeah, if you're using some other keywords, that works as well. You can also combine module results. And of course, what is also possible is you can see that this is in the address bar, module RE, and then what I put there, plus module results. What we can also do is we can show multiple job groups or multiple products. So yeah, so that works going further than that. Let's see, for example, if I delete the build, then I think it will take a bit longer to resolve. But still, here you go. Here now you see the latest test results for Tumbleweed for multiple different architectures, which are in completely different builds and different job groups, but still where we see the maintainer field applying. So this is what I wanted to show because I think this is very important for, for example, this SUSE QE teams that want to review their scope of work on a daily basis. And you can do that if you encode it in the module field, which I learned so far is most important. Okay, Yanis?
What's the difference between this and the if you go scroll up?
You mean here?
No, if you go to overview, I think on the main page you have the type to see search. Next to login.
Type to search, you're right. So what you can do here is you can search for basically anything. So yeah, you can also search in there, but it will just show, for example, in that case, if I would type maintainer Oculus, it would look up test modules where I'm the maintainer, but it wouldn't show you test results in that filtered way. You know, if we want to start from a test overview page and say, basically this view shows me the right thing, but I want to, because there are so many failures, I just want to show where I need to maintain something, then you can use that. For example, we can also put something like QEast and see if or it's a bit longer. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So much about this. Let me see. There is event-based cleanup jobs triggered based on voter. So what we have is cleanup of assets, of results and such to, you know, especially on big production instances where there's a lot of data accumulating. So we need automatic cleanup of data. And this is triggered by timer scripts like systemd service that runs at a certain time. And what now can also be done is that this can be configured in a way to be triggered based on events. So for example, whenever a job finishes, then we can trigger a cleanup. This is less suitable for big production instances, but can be very suitable for like something like single user instances where you don't want to run a timer recurringly and you don't need that because maybe you're starting a job only once a week or so. And then you can use this configuration option. Oh, sorry, I missed Phoenix. You have your hand raised. So another point you wanted to raise?
Sorry, no, I wanted to lower my hand actually.
Okay, cool. Right. So one thing which might be interesting as a template for you to look for other purposes, we have an automatic check of our backlog for certain limits in GitHub Actions. And we have a separate mini GitHub project for that, which is showing a nice shiny README page. And there you can see the backlog status. And you can see that there we take a look at certain limits that we define. For example, our backlog must not be bigger than 100 tickets. And the number of workable tickets must be higher than 10, but lower than 40. And we can see that the status is, we have a green heart, so all is good. We also have a limit that we don't want to have any tickets that exceed the due date. And this is where we have a link to the query. I think I fixed that already today in the morning. This needs to be, this will automatically refresh soon and should fix that. So yeah, this is in a small Python script, and this is triggered by GitHub Workflow. So if you're interested in maybe applying that solution for something else, this might also be a good template. What else? We have, based on the test overview module content filtering, which I presented you in before, as well as other overview pages. For example, there's the Opengl review to-do only page. So yeah, I showed you this link where we can filter by maintainer. And then there's also this Opengl review report with to-do only, which shows you all the tests that need to be reviewed next to the more complete reports for different sections, which can also be configured based on the GitLab CI pipeline. This is where I now see, and all the related tasks which are on this epic. So there are multiple ones if you want to follow all of them. And with all of that, now I'm saying that we resolved the epic of being able to provide OpenKA failures per squad in a single place. Okay, so yeah, thanks for the links to the GitHub project. I have seen the question. I think I would like to address that outside regarding the module content. We will look into that. So much about this epic. Then there was an epic for Python bindings. So we did have Python bindings that you can write OpenKA tests in Python code for longer. And then there was one point which we wanted to improve a little bit further, because before we call this epic done, which is proper error reporting. And let me see. So in before we had something like eval raised an exception error, but not specific to the actual problem. And now what we can see, so I'm presenting you an example on the production instance. Now what we can see, if we introduce an error, it's rather specific. It says module not found, no module named uba, because we wanted to trigger the error. So we tried to provoke an error by trying to reference a non-existing module. So yeah, so now this should be pretty clear. And with this, we also have proper error reporting about Python code. So yeah, have fun using Python and test modules as well. What else? There is the Idp Login System, which we, for example, use for both OpenKA Opensuse org as well as OpenKA SUSE. And originally we had redirection. So if you're on any subpage, like a job details page for a certain job, and you log in, then you were redirected back to the same page where you started from. And this broke with the new Idp Login System that SUSE used. And now this was very annoying and painful, especially to Dominik Heidler, who then gladly contributed, as part of the team, contributed that fix. So now we have that redirection working again, handled within OpenKA by supplying different parameters to the login system. Yeah, we have automatic replacement of OpenKA job URLs preview of OpenKA. I've also presented that, I think, 2 times already. I think this is already proving to be very useful. So you might know that there are automatic OpenKA investigation comments, but basically this feature works for if ever anyone puts a link to an OpenKA job on the same instance in any markdown text, then the test result is also shown automatically in the comment. So what the bot wrote is just this link, and automatically what is added is this icon representing the status with a pop-up telling you what the status is. So here we can see that there's one passed, and then here is one cancelled. And now this provides an immediate overview. You don't need to follow the job URLs anymore. And one more thing which I would like to present is the Docker Compose setup. So we have, let me show you that, or let me reference that on the OpenKA documentation. There are multiple ways how one can install OpenKA. What we still recommend, if you want to try out something maybe on a dedicated machine, is quick bootstrapping. So what you can do is with a single line call a bootstrap script, which is then installing OpenQA in a complete way, so that afterwards it's possible to access the web UI and run tests, or even directly bootstrap and clone an existing test with custom parameters to get that started, which is awesome. But there are also other ways. You can use a systemd and spawn containers, or you can use a container-based setup with individual containers. You can use a custom installation with repositories. You know, if you want to use zipper, and equivalent is available on other distributions. And there's also a containerist setup section for more details. And that one provides also, it demonstrates also this section here. Setup with OpenSUSE-based images and Docker Compose. Now this is a bit newer, and the idea here is that with Docker Compose, you have a single directory with Docker Compose file, which defines the complete infrastructure, like the web UI and worker host or multiple worker hosts, and run them together, spawned by individual commands. Yanis?
Yeah, I tried recently the containers section that if you scroll up again.
The previous one, yeah.
Yeah, it didn't work exactly. I was wondering, I don't remember the problem, but I was wondering if you can do a demo, or because I think the documentation needs some enhancement.
You mean this part about the individual container?
Yes.
Okay, I see. Yeah, I would like not to tinker with changing into a terminal right now, but yeah, this is something to consider for one of the next workshop sessions, to look more into the container-based, the different ways container-based setup, and demonstrate that. Okay.
Perfect. Yeah.
Good idea. All right. So much about feature requests. Let me just take a quick look if there's anything which I would like to present. Organizational bugs. Yeah, of course, there had been multiple important problems. One big issue which we recently fixed. So thanks to Martin Tucher, who brought up that specific error report after a longer time where we observed performance regressions and really problematic upload times, is QCA images were not properly compressed since the beginning of August due to a regression in OpenQA. And now this is fixed again, and we can see how the infrastructure is, happy about that, because now we are not running that much into I/O problems anymore. Much about that. Now for this category where let me filter by project, where the no, I don't have the category. Okay, so in the infrastructure, we have two new ARM machines within OpenQA SUSE, which is OpenQA Worker ARM 4 and OpenQA Worker ARM 5. We found a replacement setup for S390 tests on OpenQA Opensuse.org, where before we had a physical host, now that's replaced by individual containers running on another machine, because the physical host is not available anymore. And yeah, we had a job queue hitting the new record of 14,000 jobs that were scheduled. So multiple follow-up tasks that we have defined out of that. We have started our next preparation work for the next version upgrade of the underlying operating system. So now the plan is to go to Leap 15.3, but before I wanted to have Postgres on a more recent version, which is at that time was the new default version of Postgres from an older one. Okay, so any notes, additions, or questions regarding the resolved tickets before we go into the current status and plan? Okay, all good. So the next is the top level view. What we have here is the 4 sagas. This is still current. This is still the present plan, presenting you the most top level view. We have 4 sagas. One is maintenance QA workflows with fully automated testing, approval, and release. For that, we worked on some, let's say, SUSE QA maintenance related internal ecosystem and the tools. We have extended that test overview filtering by module content, which I demonstrated before, which is for this one, for this saga. For scale out, this is, I mentioned the Docker Compose epic, improving that, fixing some problems. This is related to scaling out so that it's more easy to deploy OpenQA based on containers or any kind of container runtime environment or management infrastructure, where we can scale both the workers as well as the web UI to multiple hosts, scale them up, make it easier to deploy both for individuals trying to spawn new installations, as well as bigger infrastructures. And there's a scale up, efficient handling of large storage. So one example which I shared is about the asset cleanup. So the OpenQA SUSE is a very big instance, and this is where we also see most likely problems of scalability. And this is a very important task for us to continuously support the growing number of products, the growing number of tests, the growing number of longer tests that run for a very long time and need efficient handling, storing the results, being able to provide the assets and all these things. And then there's detection of known failures, where we can ease the test results review. One example which I shared there was the OpenQA comments referencing other jobs, providing this little colorful bubbles, presenting you the current job results already in the preview of comments. So much about the top level view, and now going into the complete backlog. So the complete backlog now has grown a bit since recent time to 95 tickets, which is a consequence of mainly 2 things. One thing is that we need to plan the upgrade of our maintained infrastructures to Opensuse Leap 15.3. And the other reason is due to the mentioned performance regressions, which we partially fixed, but we also identified some problematic areas where we need to improve, where we need to be prepared for any next incident which we want to avoid running into. Starting with workable, so this is really the next thing that are in queue. We have bare metal tests, and they rely heavily on SSH connection. And there were reports that in recent times, like weeks, potentially months, there was a regression in the stability of these tests, mainly related to the underlying SSH connections disconnecting. So the plan is there that we try to bisect the problem, try to identify if we can identify either in our code a better last good, or if this is related to any kind of dependent packages. Then there is the SUSE QA maintenance bot that triggers and approves maintenance updates based on incident and aggregate tests. And it had comments. Yeah, we want to enable the comments again based on the feedback from multiple teams and departments. Might be an intermediate solution. In the long run, there are plans to provide the necessary data for proper review in a different way. Marita?
Yeah, actually, I have a question to the former, to this one. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. So, do you say now that the tools team will take care of this, because there were discussions of who should look into this I guess in a related ticket, or
yeah? Yeah, right. This is related to the topic. I can.
Yeah, I just want to know. So, does the tools team take care of this now, of the problem, in combination with other teams if needed, or is it still open?
Yeah. So it's not a big change or anything. It's not that we are taking over. We cannot cover all of it. Okay, very test specific issues we cannot do. What we can address is the specific point of maybe we have parts in our infrastructure where we do the updates, where we take responsibility for the updates, and maybe some package update caused the problem there. So this is what we try to address.
Okay, thank you. Try to put down my hand if it works. Maybe. Okay.
Right. Right. So one part I mentioned about Postgres update for OpenQA OpenSUSE org already, and now we need to do the same for OpenQA SUSE.de. And then afterwards, we will do the upgrades of different machines to LEAP 15.3. So, for example, CI container image versions, then the O3 Web UI host, then the O3 workers, and then afterwards we will do the same for OSD. Not necessarily in this order. Order is not prescribed. And there was a report by Adam Williamson from the Fedora instance. They are relying heavily on AMQP events, and there was maybe just a tiny issue. We will see how far that goes. Is that sometimes there is a failure when publishing MQP messages stating unhandled rejected promise, whatever that means. I don't know exactly. Yeah, but we will try to provide some kind of retry or better handling of that error condition. Yeah, we want to do a proof of concept of replacing OpenQA SUSE.de in the cloud. So we, of course, it's possible to run OpenQA in a cloud environment, either based on zipper packages or based on containers. So that's not a question. Here, the idea is, what can we do to replace the existing on-premise OpenSUSE.de instance by moving at least parts of it, or maybe moving it completely into the cloud as a disaster recovery scheme, or as a possibility to scale out and in both of these ways. Anton?
Cloud is a broad term. Did you select certain provider, or are you trying several?
This is mentioning, I think, one instance which is likely the easiest to us. Actually, I don't know. Either it's Azure or AWS.
Okay.
Okay. So what else? Oh yeah, that might be interesting. So sometimes some Jitsi instances might not be as stable as one might wish. So I saw that as an opportunity to maybe we can provide an OpenK test for OpenSUSE Jitsi. This is not just a fun project. Of course, it should be. It should be fun and it should be motivating, but also And it's one of the opportunities where members of the SUSE QA tools team can learn how to actually use OpenQA and get that a change of perspective sometimes, not just, you know, be in the deep down in the low level plumbing of OpenQA and all these tools, but really try to use it as an end user, gain experience from that, and improve overall system. And then others, I think I have presented the last time already. So yeah, so much about the workable tickets. So these are dictating what makes us busy in the upcoming weeks. And then after that, there is new. So for new, this is also could be related to what we have talked about in this SSH connection problem, that this is a ticket which is, let's say, a bit remote to our core working areas, because it's you could say it's a backend specific problem, but maybe we can still try to address it in a better generic way, or if not, then provide a specific solution to the non-chemo backends. Recovery guidelines for replacement OSD in cloud is related to the story of proof of concept OSD in cloud, but split out so that we can have multiple people working on that in parallel, or at least, you know, have tasks which are well defined and properly split. Yeah, slow asset download. That's one of the stories related to the scaling up. We see sometimes tests that can take rather long to upload. I mean, main OpenQA Web UI instance is becoming a bottleneck regarding I/O, but sometimes we are then running into timeouts where the best option from the user point of view is to say, well, I would re-trigger the job anyway. So, you know, we could save that time by handling that better, automatically handling the retry. Then there are sometimes assets which, for example, the UEFI vars, that's problematic, special handling, and it shows up on the downloads page. Now we have recently had the feature that when an asset is linked to a job, but it doesn't exist, that it will show as such, and also that cloning shouldn't fail. Yeah, and this is related to that story. So there was a comment. Yeah, so I don't want to replace cloud with AWS. Fine. I don't want to prescribe the implementation there. Yeah, and then this is also related to LEAP 15.3 upgrade. So I mentioned that, I mentioned some tasks, and then we want to upgrade PostgreSQL database version to the default of LEAP 15.3. We need to upgrade QAM hosts maintained by us. We need to upgrade the OSD workers. And that's it. And now there's two things which we also have in the backlog, also with low priority, we can present is that right now what we do is we monitor if there are jobs that never picked up because they might be configured incorrectly. You're selecting a worker class and there's simply no machine that is backing that. So someone came up with a good idea to provide a feature which is canceling the jobs after a configurable timeout already by the OpenQA scheduler, so that it's more explicit to the user that there is no worker coming up that is able to work on that worker class. It doesn't make sense to have the job staying around endlessly. Another feature is about OpenQA Review. So right now, OpenQA Review is providing reminder comments on tickets and on bugs, which are still referenced in current OpenQA tests. And there are corner cases where there are multiple comments in a row. Of course, each are 14 days apart, but still doesn't make sense to add more information to the tickets and annoy people. So we want to handle that better, especially if it's very old jobs, like it's still the most recent and the current job in a job group, which is not put into end of life and not released, but still it doesn't make sense to put more comments on bugs. So yeah, this is what we want to improve. Chat. Right, okay, so good questions about the Jitsi tests. So yeah, of course, there are multiple ways to address testing that thing, and OpenQA for sure is also not always the best option. Yeah, I think it is a valid option because you can really address that, let's say, from a rather visual point of view, as an end user saying, I want to join a meeting and I want to see that, you know, I'm in the room and then there's no obvious error showing up about something unexpected happening. If you can do that, then I would say we are good. All right. So this was about the tickets that we have planned. And now over to you. Are there any more comments or questions or ideas that you would like to bring up? Yanis, go on.
Back to the cloud. What's the benefits of using cloud here for OpenQA?
The benefit is of not relying on the single physical location of server rooms.
So it's going to be serverless also, and how?
Sorry, say again, I didn't fully get that.
You want to deploy serverless also and run on-demand jobs? It's going to be like that, or
it's a proof of concept to show what is feasible. So what I could think of is there are multiple different scenarios where we could end up with. It could be that we say in the most extreme case that it doesn't make sense and this is really meant for an on-premise solution. Might be. I consider that unlikely. Another extreme would be to say, yes, it's possible. Let's move everything to the cloud. Maybe that will be cheaper for us and allows better scalability regarding, you know, maybe sometimes we need more workers or less workers and we can scale in that way more easily. Could be. And there could be some hybrid solutions. For example, I could think that maybe it makes sense to have the web UI central and maybe some basic workers, and then there are some dedicated machines, special machines, pre-production sample machines, which are provided still on-premise in SUSE locations. Or it could also be that from that, we learn how we can actually, let's say, geo-distribute the whole system a bit better so that we have more what is already running in individual places, more spread out over multiple locations. Let's say SUSE Nuremberg office, SUSE Prague office, something here, something there. Okay?
Yeah, I just think that to go to public cloud, you need first to know what you are looking for and have some plan, because
what we are looking for right now is location-related redundancy. So, you know, if the Nuremberg office is on fire, that we have some place where we can run operations from. Pavel.
Also, a small related issue ongoing for a long time actually is that for testing on the cloud, we currently need to upload the maintenance updates to the cloud. And yeah, it just takes a lot of time because there is currently no proxy or VPN or whatever allowed. So this issue might be solved together with this cloud thingy as well.
Yeah, exactly. We already run something in the cloud. So by moving some components more near to related data centers that might benefit as well. Okay. Yeah, if air conditioning breaks, then we have somewhere where we can run still a bigger workload.
Yeah, sorry about that one.
Let's await next summer and see if that reappears again. It's a recurring theme. Okay. So some other notes or additions? Some thoughts?
Oliver, just well, let's take it with just for fun. When you were speaking about the Jitsi testing,
yep,
then we could make this multi-machine, so there will be 2 clients, and we could use the OpenQA audio support.
Correct. We can test audio. Yeah. So that would be nice and interesting. I would start with a single machine test, but yeah, as you say, if you want to have fun, extend that. So, you know, for me, coming up with individual smaller test modules had been always considered for Hack Week projects. So, you know, we have SUSE Hack Week, and this is also a good opportunity to look into something where we say, like, maybe it's not, you know, it's kind of an unusual approach, maybe. So, yeah, good idea.
Exactly. But I think fun one might be.
Right. So James is.
What do you mean by audio support, though?
There's OpenQA can test audio, right? So what is possible is and what is currently done is that, for example, with Firefox we play an audio file, and that audio file is recorded, and we have visual representation of the played back and recorded signal, and then we do a visual screen check on the visual representation.
So we actually have audio needles? I don't think I've seen
Yes,
that.
we do have audio needle. So I can show you that. So let's see if I will be able to find that in the GNOME test. Yeah, so there's the Firefox audio test. What we do there is we start Firefox with an Warbis encoded file, and we can see, well, there's a player properly rendered. Then we can actually play the audio. And then this is recorded, and we compare that, you know, we have the right tones. And as you can see, there had also been instances where if you want to compare that sometimes, you know, it's, you know, as expected, maybe from a not full real-time system, sometimes the playback is a bit faster or slower or shorter, or there are some tones in upper frequencies which maybe shouldn't be there, and all that little interesting things. Yep.
This is really cool, though. Yeah, I didn't realize we had the support.
So yeah, and the graph, I'm happy that I could also show you something new for OpenQA, which you might want to present. Okay, cool. So I would say with that, we are at the end. Thanks a lot to all of you for attending. For the next week workshop meeting, we have brainstorming and ideas for better connecting OBS and OpenQA based on outgoing webhooks. So I will be happy to welcome Henne Vogel from the OBS team in 1 week from now, and then we can see what we can come up there. So thank you all, see ya, and goodbye.